let's go to Steve Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Page. You know, if Paul Bunyan is still looking over this countryside, and the locals will tell you that he is, he's mighty proud of Brainerd International Raceway because it's a Paul Bunyan-sized racetrack. 3 miles long, 10 turns, and an infield you could graze 2,000 head of blue oxes in. We're here to bring you the SCCA Trans Am Road Racing Championship, and it's a power-packed field of domestic and imported cars. On the outside of the front row is Elliott Forbes Robinson in a newly developed 944 Porsche Turbo.
And we watch EFR as he's followed by his teammate Bruce Jenner down this tremendously long straightaway with speeds up about 170 to 180 miles an hour. Green flag flies, and we are racing 33 laps, 99 miles ahead. And already it is Paul Newman making a move on the inside. Here we look to the windshield of the 944 Porsche. Incredible horsepower. And the race for the second position is terrific. As we expected, Scott Pruitt now has to get off the throttle and let Elliott Forbes Robinson the Porsche down lower into turn number 1. But Pruitt comes back as they exit 1. Turbo power paying off on that long straightaway for EFR. We look at the onboard camera, and that little chirping sound we hear from the EFR Porsche, that's the turbo when he shifts gear. Oh, we should mention the driver of car number 42, Bruce Jenner, is not the decathlete, even though both of them do race. This Bruce Jenner started racing in his native New Zealand, now lives in Del Mar, California, and operates this team of 2 Porsches out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And Bruce Jenner says, why don't I try that line as well? It worked for Hallsmer, and so he just slides right on past. And right here, as they come through the radar trap, Newman at 176. Look at EFR close down. Now will he get past him? Elliott Forbes Robinson just behind. You look ahead. There's Paul Newman. That's the closest he's been all day. And EFR says this is the chance. Here's an opportunity to get around. He's now trying to hold off the 944 Turbo Porsche that is running in second position. With first now, as we get back on the trickier parts of this circuit, let's see if EFR can close it up again. Newman with about a 4-car length advantage. Now make that 3, 2, and soon to be 1. First, second, and third are all running right together on the race course. There they are, nose to tail with one another. You can see that in this section of the course, the turbo is paying off on the Porsche, and he's able to close with the Nissan. Well, also, the Porsche Pauls enjoys a 50-pound weight advantage. Look at Elliott Forbes Robinson tries him on the inside as Newman chops him off. But I was going to say he has a 50-pound weight advantage, and that helps in the twisty parts of this course. Also, less turbo lag with the Porsche motor than the Nissan engine. And he is making up some ground on Newman. He goes to the he is around Paul Newman. We have our new leader. We take a look as he comes to the inside. The Porsche has been better in this section, and EFR comes by Scotty Pruitt. This battle right here is the one the press and the fans have all been talking about. 2 very evenly matched automobiles. Now as they sweep out of turn number 10, Elliott puts it into top gear. So Elliott Forbes Robinson getting a little better straightaway speed. Again, you can hear that turbocharger as it squeaks on every gear shift as they come off of 6, and it is 69 miles per hour. So this battle for the lead is definitely pushing Elliott Forbes Robinson to new heights. He is driving that Porsche that is the team car to the Bruce Jenner machine, and they are immaculately prepared cars. Earlier, Steve Evans had a chance to look at them.
This is the sophisticated cockpit of the 944 Turbo Porsche driven by Elliott Forbes Robinson. Someday, if they get any more stuff in there, they're going to need a co-pilot to help operate it. Now, this is a turbocharged 944. It's a 2-valve per cylinder motor. But anytime you allow turbochargers in any form of auto racing, in my opinion, you take the chance of absolutely eliminating the normally aspirated cars. Well, the SCCA is giving this car a bit of a weight break, but in return, they're putting a restrictor on the turbo. You see that trumpet-looking device down there? That restricts the intake to the turbo to 56 millimeters, and that is going to limit the kind of power they can build with this. It's going to require their ingenuity to make more power in other areas. But the car is running very well, as we've seen here today, and everybody considers this to be the best chance of beating Scott Pruitt in that awesome Mercure.
Well, the limitation is not obvious as Elliott Forbes Robinson in the Porsche is the leader. And Steve Evans is now down in the Roush pits. We have a chance to talk with Jack Roush.
Every time Forbes Robinson looks in his rearview mirrors, he may think he's seeing double, but it's just the 2-pronged attack of this man, Jack Roush, with Scott Pruitt and Hallsmer. Obviously, you're not wearing a headset. You're not talking to them or advising them.
No, we're not talking to them, but our race is pretty much going the way we figured. We've been here many times, and it's a real hard place on tires, so we put hard tires on our car, figuring that we will look the best near the end of the race. So from now on to the end, our car should look the best. We have a feeling, I didn't check the tires personally, but I was informed that EFR had put soft tires on his car, so that would have made him fast early. But we think that if our strategy works right, we should be faster in the last half of the race.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
So Jack Roush now plays with the tactics of this game of racing, hoping that softer tires indeed were put on Elliott Forbes Robinson's car, and that his driver, Scotty Pruitt at number 2, or for that matter, his other driver, Pete Hallsberg, in 3rd place in the number 3 car, can chase them down.
We'll do a little point-counterpoint here. We heard what Jack Roush had to say, and I'll ask Max Crawford, who's Elliott Forbes Robinson's crew chief. Max, Roush seems to think that they're running harder tires than you are, and that was kind of the game plan, to hang back until maybe Elliott's tires went away.
We're running hard compound as well because of the heat.
Does Elliott say anything to the crew? Is the car performing properly? He feels all right about it?
Well, I've been watching his lap times. I think he's probably conserving the car. Elliott's very smart.
All right. Yes, indeed. He is very smart. So that looks like the final line here is that maybe they both have the same tires on, and everybody's waiting for those last few laps to really show their stuff.
A 3-car drag race, Paul, and it is an area of the track where the Porsche has shown superior performance. Remember, there is a weight difference, and here we see it again. Here is the Porsche as he lays the power down. The turbo picks it up, and EFR is going to get to the turn first, and he hangs on. So this man back out in front, Elliott Forbes Robinson, Denver, North Carolina.
I notice he's weaving around out there more than anybody else. But that car, someone said, it doesn't really like to slow down and get back up to speed again.
It didn't used to, but we worked on it. It's better.
They fixed that problem, apparently. So
with just 4 laps to go here in the Trans Am at Brainerd International. Son on that steering wheel as he exits turn number 1. They both had to fight to get the nose of the car to come down and take the apex of the turn. Now, EFR moves up just behind Scott Pruitt. Pulls in right under his rear wing there. Can EFR get around Hallsberg? And the final lap of the original 33. Elliott Forbes Robinson has less than 3 miles to get around that car, and he's going to make a move right now down the EFR to the inside. Comes past. Hallsberg picks up the lead in the first turn. Superior straightaway speed. Ain't off there. 7 more turns to go to the checkered flag. Elliott Forbes Robinson, who has come so close this season and been winless. They come down that short straight to turn number 10. Elliott Forbes Robinson, the lead heat. If he's to win this Bendix Trans Am. Hallsberg can't he get around Elliott Forbes Robinson? Hallsberg starts to come to the outside, but he drops a wheel off, and that's cost him. The checker is out. Elliott Forbes Robinson drove one very smart race. And the result, a victory at Brainerd, Minnesota. We'll be back.
A very interesting story is back here at the back of the pack. The only other driver to crack victory lane this year besides a Mercours driver is Elliott Forbes Robinson in this Porsche. Now, technically, he should be up toward the front of the pack. However, the car was found to be 6 pounds underweight. Consequently, his run was disqualified. He is starting all the way back here in 35th and last position. We asked earlier about how they got the additional weight. We had alluded to the fact that he would have been like 4th in the starting grid, but the car was determined to be 4 pounds light after qualifying. Well, they've added the wheel fans. These are the units on the side of the wheel that actually directs the air into the braking area to keep the rotor cool. They say that with the plastic and the bolts, they can add 4 pounds. So, Bob, it should be interesting to watch the progress from the back of the pack.
He's, of course, driving the Olivetti Porsche 944 and 944 and 944.